On the second day of the 2020 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles used their 53rd pick on quarterback Jalen Hurts of the Oklahoma Sooners. This was a surprise to many, being the fact that they just signed their star quarterback, CARSON Wentz, to a 4-year, $128 million contract with $108 million guaranteed. In this video, we'll be discussing what does this move mean for Carson Wentz? What type of pressure does this add on for Carson Wentz? And just as important, how does Doug Peterson and Howie Roseman plan on using Jalen Hurts? My name is Vernon F. Miller, and this is Sports News Stream, where we provide the latest content in sports. Please, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button so you can be notified of all the latest content we upload. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you. And please comment along with hitting that like button. We reply to all comments. Well, let me say here, I live in Philadelphia. And let me be quite clear, there aren't too many happy people with Howie Roseman. I can't find too many people right now that live in the city of Philadelphia that are happy with Howie Roseman right now. And unless he knows something the consensus doesn't know, or I don't know, I don't understand this move. And I keep telling people, Howie Roseman is a numbers guy. He's not a talent evaluator, okay? He understands the numbers. He understands the caps. He understands the contracts. But when it comes to evaluating and processing talent, he's not that guy. And I'm starting to question Doug Peterson as well. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles have been the same since Frank Wright left for Indianapolis. Thanks, Josh McDaniels. However, it's a very interesting move when you sit back and you think, okay, so because according to Howie Roseman in the Eagle Brash, they had a discussion with Carson Wentz, letting them know what move they were going to make, and just to make him feel comfortable and have a conversation and an understanding of why they were going to use their 53rd pick to draft a quarterback when they very well could have drafted a linebacker, which was definitely, without a question, needed. The Eagles did eventually draft a linebacker, but I'm pretty sure there were better linebackers at that position at that time. So they could have grabbed another wide receiver. I'm not particularly jumping up and down about the wide receiver they went and grabbed, a Jalen Reagor, and it seems like the Eagles are trying to mimic a lot of successful or more successful teams than them. You know, you grab a Jalen Reagor, who is supposed to be, I guess, another or the new Tyreek, or you're hoping pans out to be a Tyreek Hill. You draft Jalen Hurts, who you hope can in some ways have the success, or you can use in a way like the New Orleans Saints and Sean Payton is using Taysom Hill. I get it, but is that window still open? And does Doug Peterson, because let's be honest, the wide receiver department with the Philadelphia Eagles is suspect at the very least. Deshaun Jackson, still a speedster, still fast, but this guy's been hurt probably every year for the last at least 3 years. I know. I've had him on my fantasy team. So I know Deshaun Jackson very well when it comes to football. Alshon Jeffries, he looks like he's lost a step or two. He's definitely looked like he's lost a step or two. And his health is questionable at times. And, you know, and he's still getting a serious contract right now. So with that being said, the Eagles had a golden opportunity to grab a stud wide receiver, or at least a bigger and statistically better wide receiver with Jeffries, but we're not. I'm getting away. I'm getting away because there's a lot going on with the Eagles right now. But let's get back to the subject. So the Eagles decided to use their 53rd pick to grab a Jalen Hurts, who, just to give you a little background, he was the SEC Freshman of the Year when he was with Alabama in 2016. Led them to a championship game. 2017, he was benched at halftime in the national championship game in favor of Tua, who led them to the victory in the championship game. Then in 2019, he transferred to Oklahoma, where he had a very good year, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 20 of those touchdowns were rushing, and he was the Heisman Trophy runner-up. So definitely had a bounce back year. When you look at Hurts, some of the things that stand out to me when I look at him, I would like to see him improve on his arm a little bit more. With the accuracy, especially with the underneath balls. He's got a big arm. He can throw down the field. That's great. But some of those throws that, within the hashtags and just sideline throws, I'd like to see him improve on that. He's great with the feet, has a winning attitude. I think he'd be a great locker room presence. Somebody that could definitely benefit from being under Carson Wentz and just the Philadelphia Eagles organization with them being quarterback manufacturers. So I think for Jalen Hurts, I think it's a win-win for him. For the Eagles, I don't know. It's going to be interesting how Doug Peterson uses Hurts as far as packages and play calling. Will he get on the field? You would think for them using such a high pick, they have to be thinking on the lines of a Taysom Hill, who, you put him on the field, in certain plays, in certain packages, in certain positions, in certain situations, maybe down the goal line, all types of whatever trickery you could possibly be thinking on those lines. Carson Wentz, last 4 years, he's been hurt 2 out of those last 4 years. Last season, he had a pretty good season, 27 touchdowns, 1 interception, over 4,000 yards passing, 93.1. Quarterback rating, great. Missed the last game of the playoffs. Missed the playoffs last year. First game of the playoffs last year due to a concussion. And I'm not even really, a lot of people blame Carson Wentz or get mad at Carson Wentz because, he couldn't stay healthy. In my opinion, Clowney threw a cheap shot. That wasn't the shot that was very football-like, in my opinion. So I give Carson Wentz a pass on. I don't know any quarterback there or any player that probably would have been able to survive that type of hit. So I give him a pass on that. But it wasn't good for Carson Wentz, just adding on to his injury legacy with the Philadelphia Eagles, or just football, period. So it's going to be interesting to see how that works out. Does it add pressure on Carson Wentz? I think it does. And it's also going to be interesting to see how this backup quarterback situation plays out with Hurts and Setterfield, because they did sign Setterfield to a 1-year deal as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Will Eagles use Hurts as leverage to go ahead and trade him somewhere else and get their second pick back or more? So it's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Hope everyone's staying safe. Hit that like button, that subscribe button, and we're on to the next one. We have an NBA edition of videos coming out as well. Check that out too. Thanks for your support. We're on to the next one.